Welcome to Yes Also. I'm Susie Barrett. My guest today is the absolute talent bomb, Carl Tart. You know him as a series regular on the shows Grand Crew and In the Know. In the improv world, he trained at Second City Hollywood, IO West, and UCB LA. He was on the UCB Herald teams Six Killer and Queen George, which is now a house team at UCB. He started the Big Team, formerly known as White Women, which, in my opinion, is one of the best teams in LA. And he plays regularly with Shitty Jobs and AssCat. Carl has some really helpful things to say about being the voice of reason character and helping the scene move forward, adding to the unusual person's game. And I loved hearing about his early days in Hollywood and how he made his life work for him. As always, if you want to see pics of our guests from throughout their improv journeys, head over to our Instagram at YesAlsoPod. And now, to the episode. Hey, Carl.
Hi.
We were just talking, but then I was like, save it for the pod.
Yes.
You were saying, like, you have no improv philosophy or, like...
No, I don't have any improv philosophy. To me, it and I think it took me a while to learn the rules because I was just like, oh, this is fun. I'm just making up stuff with my friends.
Yeah.
And let me not say it took me a while to learn the rules, but when I started at Second City, the rule that they pushed was yes and like, okay, if this is true, then what else is true? And you do that and you go, man, this can be really fun. I can say whatever I want to because this is not really happening. You know, I wasn't thinking about control. And sometimes I would get wrapped up and go, oh, I've said too much. And now I don't know where I'm at. But I don't have no, like, philosophy. Like, Will Hines, like, if I were to write a book on improv, it would be a pamphlet. It'd be a watchtower. It would be real quick because I got nothing. I don't have, at least I don't think I never sit and think about it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, you just said something interesting before we started rolling. You said for you it's playing basketball.
Yeah.
I love that analogy.
It's playing basketball because, yes, there are rules to the game, or there's, you know, you're going to run set plays and stuff like that, but also sometimes you just got to hoop.
Yeah.
And, like, it's like, all right, we in transition. Like, I'm not going to stop the momentum of this and set up a play.
Right.
Like, we just got to get to it.
And you're reacting and, you got to, you have this ultimate goal, but in order to do that, it's like, if someone reaches towards you, you turn your body. And
yeah. And it feels like, also another way, it feels natural in a way. Like, I'll do certain things when we play on Sundays where people go, oh, wow, what a move, like good footwork. And I go, well, I've been like doing that since I was 5. It just comes naturally. Of course, I'm much slower now and I don't play as often and have gained a ton of weight and stuff, but I still know how to do things that I'm like, oh, this guy has his elbow. If he's guarding me with his left elbow, I'm going to rub off his elbow. He can't recover off of that. So I know that I can get to the basket that way unless somebody else steps up. And then you dump the ball off to the open man. Like, it's just like things that are just like natural. I'm not thinking about it. Yeah. Maybe if I did think about it more, maybe if I did have more strategy and more like, then I would be better. And I know that's the case too but sometimes things come easy. And I feel like it's not to sound arrogant at all, but because I wish I did have the brain that Will Hines and you and Alex Fernie and these people have.
Don't lump me into that category. I don't have that brain. I do not have that brain.
But like the way that they can think about this on a different level. He goes, no, and speaking of basketball again, to get vulnerable, sometimes when you rely so much on natural talent, you don't progress. And that's why I decided to coach a team this last season at Herald, because I was like, I need to practice what I preach. Like, I need to learn to practice what I preach as opposed to just being like, I'm just out here having fun with my friends. Like, I want to get back in this manual and get back in this curriculum and go, okay, all right, this, like, that way I can tell somebody else how to do it.
Yeah, and coaching is such a great way for you personally to, like, codify exactly what it is you do believe about, you know. Yeah. It's like, okay, you have to reverse engineer a little bit. Like, all right, well, when I do it, what am I doing? And how can I tell you, like, if that's useful for you? Or like or what are you doing that, you have to analyze scenes in a different way. Where did that scene go wrong? Or what? Yeah. Have you coached a lot in the past?
No, only indie teams and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I've never. A, I don't get asked very often. And B, when I do get asked, I'm usually kind of like afraid that I'm going to say the wrong thing. I say the term. I should get a T-shirt that says, "Does that make sense?" Because I'm like second guessing it myself sometimes when I say it. I'm like, I know what I'm trying to tell you to do, but also I don't know how to tell you to do it.
Yeah.
But then my team will be like, "You did. It made me better. It helped me the way you said it, the way you explained it." Also, a lot of people on my team was like, "You coach like a sports coach."
Oh,
And I
that's
go,
great.
"I don't know what you mean by that, but I think
It's
just
like you make us take a knee, and
Yeah.
we have a locker room, and
and yell at him after bad shows and throw my clipboard down, break it over my knee." It's like, "Why do you have a clipboard?"
I don't know when I
Yeah.
broke it on my
Yeah,
bad knee.
yeah. I take notes on the clipboard. It's a whiteboard. It's all just messed up. But yeah, it helped me. I definitely think it helped me get better.
Yeah.
Like even when we had Throwback Herald Night the other night,
Mm.
it was like I'm putting into practice. I was nervous about it because I knew some of my team was there,
Yeah.
and I was like, I have to practice what I preach. I have to do what I told them to do.
What were the things that were in your mind going into? Oh, so for the audience, UCB every year when they have new Herald auditions, they put the teams together. There's like a 2-week gap while the new teams are being coached and learning stuff before they go up, and so UCB puts up like old retired Herald teams go and do the Herald again. So my old team and Carl's old team were
Yeah.
both on. I loved your show that night. It was so fucking funny.
It was really fun. I
Oh my
love playing
God.
with my team so much.
Yeah, Queen
Shout out
George is
Queen
incredible. Yeah. So what were the things heading into the show that you were like laundry listing in your mind?
If I'm the voice of reason, make sure I am adding to the game,
Mm-hmm.
like making sure I'm not just making jokes, which I have. I kind of stopped doing that more when I got to my second year of Herald, because the first year I realized, oh, this is not helpful, especially if you don't have a person who is like has a rapid fire joke brain. Like the scene goes nowhere. I was kind of still in my Second City brain at that time,
Yeah.
where it's just like we're just kind of exploring our relationship, but I wasn't pushing the game forward per se. So I wanted to make sure I was listening and reacting, making sure that if somebody establishes something, I am labeling that game and giving them another way to play that game.
Yeah.
And I think I accomplished that in me and Drew's scene, where he said his thing, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to label this, and then I'm going to go find things so you can exacerbate your game moves.
Yeah.
And you can still do that and be funny at the same time.
Can you walk the audience through that? What was that was the surgery
Yes,
scene? Yeah.
the surgery scene. So he pulled it from Peter's monologue about silkworms. Have you ever seen a silkworm? And the scene started off where Drew was like, okay, we've balanced something like excuse me.
Surgery talk.
Yeah, surgery talk, something medical. And I just go, great. Because I'm waiting on him to like do his thing.
Yeah.
And that great got a laugh, and people were laughing at that. I was like, uh-oh.
Got a big laugh out of me. It's so funny to watch like the surgical assistant be like, great.
Yeah, great. I don't because in a moment like that, it's hard to add information because I don't know what you're doing yet, so I don't want to hijack what you're doing.
Right. You don't want to shove it off the wrong cliff.
Exactly. So I'm just like, all right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you're gonna tell me in this next line, and he did. He started talking about the silkworms, and then I label it as, can you stop talking about other sciences while we're doing this? We're doing surgery. We're trying to keep this man alive.
Yeah.
And you're talking about silkworms, and then go over to the table, and there's the EKG screen. I'm like, how did you turn to the Nature Channel or something like that? Like just trying to figure out ways to.
You finding things in the environment that he has put his game voice through, and you naming those things.
Yeah.
Right. So that it's not just him always bringing up silkworms. It's you. Yeah.
Yeah. And if the silkworm thing is true, then what else is true about you? What else do you like? You like nature documentaries. You big Steve Irwin fan. Why are you dressed like Steve Irwin doing surgery?
Yeah.
Something like that. So that was what I taught to that team a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if I did that very much when I was on Herald, because I was rarely the voice of reason in a lot of scenes too. I think I would sometimes initiate and be the weird person, and then people would just make me the weird person sometimes.
Because you're a really fun weird person.
I hope so.
I mean, you're fun as both. You're
Yeah.
you're such a funny person and
Thank
such
you.
a great, like, you're an infectious, contagious player. Like your joy and your mirth on stage is like people cannot help but be tickled by you.
Thank you so much. That
Yeah.
means a ton coming from you.
Uh,
My mirth.
your mirth.
Never heard of mirth.
It's like your joyful spirit, like the way that you get tickled by stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
I really have fun doing it.
It's great.
It's so much, and when I get to play with people like Peter Banifaz, Payam Banifaz is just the funniest person around. I can't not laugh when he's on stage.
He's so funny. Yeah.
I remember when I was young, and you watch SNL, and you see Seth Meyers and not Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon and Horatio, and they would be laughing, and people would get in there like, oh, I wish they would just not laugh when they're doing the scenes, and I wish. And it's like Phil Hartman never laughed in a scene. He goes, yeah, you're right. Phil Hartman never laughed, really. He's a great actor and could really maintain that. But also, Horatio and Jimmy looked like they were having so much fun.
Yeah.
That it made you, and I remember saying the same thing, like, oh, they laugh too much. They're not committed. I know what I'm talking about. I'm 13. And then once I started doing it, and I'm on stage with a person like Payam Banifaz, and I go, there's no way I'm not going to laugh at what you're saying.
It's so funny.
It's
yeah.
too, and I don't know what you're about to say. Like, so that's the other thing. It's like, you never know what this person's about to say, and it's always something that's going to sneak up on you and make you laugh.
The joy of improv, right, is that we get to be the actors and the audience at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to back, because we just kind of started in the middle here, but I want to back the train up and talk about your origin story. You started at Second City.
Yes. And my uncle was shot by, no, I'm just playing. I started at Second City. Yeah. I went to college to play basketball and got cut after a year. After my freshman year.
Where was that?
That was at New Mexico Highlands University.
All right, everybody ban New Mexico Highlands University.
Please don't dox them. They'll be like, who is he? We don't have his transcripts. I went there and then got cut. The team was terrible. We went 1-26. Won one game, lost 26. And the coach got fired. The new coach came in, brought his own guys in. So I came back home, and I'm like, okay, what can I do now? My mom doesn't want me to be sitting at home. I can't sit at home, so I have to get a job. So I did. I got a job, started working at Hollywood Video. And
sounds like a porn video place.
Yeah,
like an adult
no, it was
video.
it was the block. It was like the rival to
was
Blockbuster.
it? Oh man,
yeah.
we didn't have that. But I don't think we had that where I'm from.
Really?
Michigan? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
Hollywood Video. Hollywood Video was like the other Blockbuster. It was just as
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Great place to work, to like see a bunch of movies, right?
Yeah, I got to. Well, surprisingly enough, we'll probably talk about this too. I'm not a big movie guy, but they're too long.
Yeah.
Movies are too long.
I'm having a harder and harder time these days. Like ever since smartphones, like my attention span is just like whittling away.
That's what's doing it.
Yeah.
I can sit and watch Family Guy all day.
Right.
But movies, like the idea of going to see a Marvel movie, I'm like, I don't want to do that.
It's a big commitment.
Yeah.
And when I watch it at home, I have to like break it into chunks. And it's like what was that Tina Fey joke at the Emmys a couple years ago? I don't want to watch one thing for 2 hours. I want to watch a 1 hour thing 10 times in a row.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
It's too much to follow along with movies.
Yeah.
But
okay, so you're working at Hollywood Video.
Yeah.
Had you done theater or anything before this?
Not technically. See, my mom is an actor. That's why we moved to L.A. from Mississippi. I was born in Mississippi. We moved out here to pursue my mom's acting
No
goals.
kidding.
Yeah.
What, is she in stuff that? Do we know your mom?
No, you probably don't know her, but she's in stuff that you've seen. Like
Yeah,
she
cool.
she had a good list of co-stars and guest stars in the 90s.
Incredible.
And then the SAG went on strike in 2000, and it kind of like hurt her career pretty bad because that was the birth of the reality show, and they kind of, a lot of the networks that were black centric, I would say, kind of went away, the UPNs of the world and stuff, and she kind of had to get a job in like corporate work and stuff, and that kind of just like leveled it out a little bit with two kids, me and my brother, and but we came out here for that, and then I went to college that year, and I came home for a year, and I was kind of just trying to stick to myself so my mom wouldn't notice that I wasn't going back, because I came home at summer break, and so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna get a job, and that job just carried through the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until like that next April that she was like, wait a minute. Why are
School
you
year
in school?
starts in May now? Yeah.
Like, you've been out of school since May. It's almost been a full year. Oh, yeah. I got cut off the team. And why didn't you say anything? I was like, you never asked. You never,
Make it her fault.
You never asked.
You didn't.
You didn't
I was
ask, so why would
here
I say something?
wanting to talk about it.
Yeah.
But
You saw me every day. I got up to go to work, but I worked that job and then was kind of looking for something. I started doing classes at like Santa Monica College just to like say that I was in school, but I wasn't really fully paying attention to it. And then I started doing background as a job because I used to do that when I was a kid. So that's
being a background actor.
Yeah, being a background, being an extra, because it's an easy way to make money. If people are thinking about moving to Los Angeles, not right now because the industry's still pretty dead, but once the industry gets back up to its normal pace, if people are thinking about moving to Los Angeles and you want to work in the industry, signing up with central casting and extras management and stuff like that is a good thing to do because it gets you so much on-set experience. And if you can work every day, you make a decent living. You can pay your rent if you got roommates and stuff like that.
Yeah. What's the daily rate up to?
For non-union, I think it's up to like $105 a day now.
Great. For non-union, just right off the bus from Tennessee, and you can just
And that's 8 hours a day, and most sets go 12 hours a day or more. So you start getting overtime. So if you work 5 days a week at that rate and you work 5 12-hour days, it's tough, but you'll get a check at the end of the week for however much money, $500, $600. You do that, you can make your rent in LA if you have a decent spot, and then once you join the union, it's harder to get work, but the rate goes up. But background is an easy way to just like get on set experience. Like you know how to behave yourself on set, you know how to move, you know what all the positions are and stuff like that.
You get to spend a lot of time observing also, like sitting there, not allowed to talk, and just watching how the director and the first AD, who has what job, who's saying what. It is. It's so cool to be on a set too.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And you make friends. I was on Glee for the first 3 seasons, so those were like my friends. Like we were all young adults because we had to look high school age, and we were all like 21, 22, and we would go to work and then go to Sycamore Tavern after work and like hang out and do karaoke, and it was fun. It was like living college life that I missed out on because I only did 1 year at college.
Right.
And so I was doing that, but I'm watching these actors, and I go, I can do that. What are they doing that's so like special? Like I can do that. I'm not looking at Robert De Niro saying that, but these like young actors who are around my age who are on shows like Glee and Greek and stuff like that. I'm like, I can do that. How do you get it? Like I wanna take this to the next level. I'm tired of being in the background. I want to do the next thing. How do I? And
so you dragged one of them in the janitor's closet, hit him on the head with a wrench, changed outfits with him,
and then came back out.
Yeah.
I don't want to. And I was Leah Michelle. So I started like figuring out, okay, how do people? I had always wanted to do comedy, but I was always too shy to say that to people. So
not just too shy to do it, too shy to say it.
Too shy to even say it because I didn't want people to. Ryan and I just had a long conversation about this. I didn't want people to judge the fact. Even though all these people said I was funny. I wasn't class clown in high school. I was like always kind of known for being a bit of a goofball. I wasn't a very like outgoing person, but in class around my friends and stuff, I was just quick with it. Like I was, and that was kind of my whole life since elementary school. It was kind of how I kept the bullies off of me. It was kind of, and so it's something that I had a knack for, at least a natural like timing. And once this stuff started to change, I started doing the background stuff, and I'm like, what if I started doing stand-up? And so I started doing stand-up, and it was hard, and I didn't like it. And I was bummed out, because after secretly wanting to do this my whole life, being such a nerd about it, like reading everybody's book and watching every show, Mad TV, like SNL, Comic View, Def Comedy Jam, and Living Color, everything, Premium Blend on Comedy Central, like everything comedy I will watch. And when I started doing stand-up, of course I didn't give it enough time. But after that first like 2.5, 3 months of like doing open mics, I was like, I hate this. This is too hard. These people are mean. They're miserable. I don't want to do this. And a person came up to me and was like, have you ever done improv? I see you like, you're really quick. You can make stuff up because I see you abandon your stand-up jokes and start just talking. Have you ever done improv? I was like, improv? What is improv? And he told me about it. He was like, it's like, whose line is it anyway? And I started like, that's when I started going on Wikipedia when Wikipedia first came out and was like, looking up like, how do people get on SNL? And I kept seeing this Second City Groundlings. I didn't see UCB, but I saw Second City Groundlings. And so I started checking their websites. And I'm like, whoa, like I recognize that guy. Oh, I know that guy. Oh, they all did this program? Like they all came up through this? And started YouTubing like stuff, and the Groundlings classes were too expensive, but the Second City one was cheaper. And so I chose to go there. And I told my mom. And because she was kind of on my head about like, you need to do something. Like, I was like, I'm gonna do this. And she supported it. She liked the idea of it. And she was like, she paid for the first class. She was like, what do you want for your birthday? My birthday was coming up soon. And she goes, what do you want for your birthday? I was like, can you pay for this class? I can't afford it. Can you pay for it? And she was like, yeah, but you won't pay me this money back if you quit. And I was like, I'm not gonna quit. I promise I'm not gonna quit.
That's a hell of a birthday present.
Yeah,
those are expensive classes. Yeah,
Improv for Actors 1 I took, and it was like $350. And she bought me that class. That was the last one she had to pay for because I worked and interned for the rest of every other program I did. But she was like, if you quit, you're gonna pay me this money. I was like, I'm not gonna quit. But that whole day in my head, I was like, if this shit is whack, I'm quitting. I'm not doing this because and it definitely was like. I'm like young and an athlete, and I come from the hood, and I'm like walking in and seeing all these people, all these white people. They got their big like water bottles, and they're like so excited to do this, and they're doing all these theater games. And I'm like, man, I'm not doing this shit. Like I'm kind of like have like too cool attitude. And then I had to go, Carl, none of your homeboys are here. They're not gonna laugh at you. They don't know you're doing this. Everybody else in here, most of these people older than you are doing it. Get your ass in there and do it. Right. You know how at Second City they make you do like, all right, everybody, all right, group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. Group 1, make an A. And you got like everybody lays down with their body and like, figure. And I was like, I'm not doing this. And I go, just do it. Just release that energy of like being, nobody in here is going to laugh at you. They're all doing it.
Right. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Like the only way to stand out and be like the asshole is not doing it.
Yes.
Like that's the way to be made fun of in that context.
Yeah. In that context. That was and so I did it. I had my first class with Matt Craig.
I love Matt Craig.
Great guy. And it felt like sports because there was a team aspect, there was a coach, he's telling you what to do. You get up and you do it. And we were just playing like the most elementary school theater games, radio dial, and all right, he's a character, he's got an emotion. Who is that? Like, what is he doing? And you just making up stuff. And you like that first class, you're not really going over like the tenets of improv, but you're doing that little the elementary school stuff. And
yeah, you're a group that's diving in head first to these games and silly exercises. It gets everybody on the same playing field.
Yeah,
you're laughing, you're giggling. You don't know what it means yet, but it like gets all your defenses down, as it did literally with you, because you had a moment being like, I'm not getting on the floor.
Yeah. I'm like, I ain't getting on the ground. Make an A. What are you talking about?
You make an A.
I'm a hooper, like And then,
what's so funny about that is like the reveal that you were thinking that, and I wonder how many other people were also thinking that, but they also had the same process as you, and they're like, well, I guess we have to get on. But if one other person would have stayed standing, if that would have tipped it over to people being like, no, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Like how many people in an improv class does it take to refuse on the first day? Yeah. I'll figure that equation out later. Yeah. So you're making A's, you're running around saying, are you my neighbor? I like people who, and all that stuff. Yeah.
Are you my neighbor? And then at the end of class, the last 30 minutes of class at Second City, they would do this thing called lab, where all the classes get together and display something that they worked on in class that day. So you have level 1 through conservatory 5 who are building their review. At the end of the Second City program, you work towards, once you go through the conservatory. So there's 3 levels of improv for actors, which is like the beginning class, and then you audition to get into the conservatory. And if you get into the conservatory, that's going to be your group for the next year, basically. And y'all are working towards learning how to build a sketch show review, learning how to write using improv as a tool, which is the Second City philosophy. And once you get to Conservatory 5, which is the last level, you build your review that runs for 8 weeks. So now you have like your graduation, basically. You have your 8 weeks of every week. I can invite everybody to my show. We come out in the shirt and tie, Second City style, and we do the review that we've been working on this whole time.
And that's a 100% sketch.
Yeah,
your sketch review.
Yeah, sketch, and maybe like a couple improv games in there.
Okay.
But pretty much all sketch the whole time. 3 blackouts in the beginning that you start the show off with, a musical number. You got to do a musical number. You got to do a song. And the rest of it is just sketches that people came in and pitched that we improvised and re-improvised and re-improvised until they became a sketch. And you get an 8-week run of that, and then you graduate from the program. You get a T-shirt. All those $1,000 you paid, you get a T-shirt. I don't even know where my T-shirt is. But
fuck you, Second City.
Yeah. But that first class, back to the first class, we did the lab at the end, and it was our turn to go up. And I went up and I played Radio Dial or something like that, and they got a huge laugh from the audience. And I was hooked. Like, that was the moment I was like, I'm doing this. And these people were coming up to me after, like, hey, man, where'd you train before this? Are you like where'd you do other? I was like, I've never done this before in my life. I've never done this. Oh, my God, you're so quick. You're this. And I was 20 years old, and I was like, yeah, man, it's over. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And then a couple months after that, I hit that low where it was like, oh, you were riding that high, bro. This shit is hard now. I'm not getting no laughs. Like,
Yeah.
But that was the first time I was like, oh, this is what it is. Because it was a level of positive reinforcement that I had never gotten in sports. Like, I was good. But coaches yell. Football, like, everything.
Yeah,
yells.
That's because that whole genre is just more tough love and more. That's how they motivate. Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't tell you when you're doing something good. They don't tell you, good job. Like, they might say, like, attaboy, all right, yeah, but next time do it this. Like, do it hard. Like, you get a little bit of, like, you get a pat on the ass. It ain't, you don't have that positive reinforcement. And while I'm grateful for those experiences, I definitely am a person who's like, please tell me I'm doing this right at least. Right. Like, if you're constantly telling me that I'm doing it wrong, I'm not a person who goes, all right. I don't buckle down and just do it. I'm like, well, I'm out of here.
It's just like, not to compare it to this, but I have a dog, but it's like pet training. Yeah. Like, you can't just say no. You have to also, like, when they do something right, give them a treat and like pat them on the head. And that's all they want. Yeah. Love and encouragement. Yeah.
And in basketball, like, your treat is playing in the game. And if you win, your coach is like, all right, there we go.
Right. But only if you win.
Yeah.
And it can never be like, you did great out there and you're really talented. And yeah.
And even when you win and you do well, it's still aggressive. It's like, it ain't done. We got work on Monday. We got film in the morning. We got work on Monday. We got to do this. It's like, all right. Yeah. So being an improv, and it was so positive, and getting constructive feedback. Like, why don't you try it like this time? I fell in love with it immediately.
Thank God. And also, like, talk about someone who's built to improvise. And I love hearing that, like, from the jump, people were like, where have you trained before?
Yeah. I was like, oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I was in hog heaven. I was for sure like, oh, this is it. This is what I needed.
Fish in water.
Validation. It was the validation that did it for me. And I've stuck with it ever since. I haven't stopped. Besides the pandemic, like, that was the first time that I had gone more than a week without watching or doing some type of improv.
God, wasn't that a bleak time?
Yeah.
Man, how did that affect you? I know it, like, super affected me, just to not be around our community, to not be seeing shows, not be doing shows, not have an audience laughing at me every week really fucked me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned the meaning of what extrovert is. And I learned that I am one. And I took the negative connotation off of it, because to me, when I was coming up, I thought extrovert meant a person who needs to have the attention on them at all time and need to be the center of the life of the party and the center of attention and always being loud and got to sing a song, got to do this and got come in and I was like, I'm not that guy. So maybe, but I know I can get wild on stage, but that's different.
Right.
But I learned that what extrovert actually means is that you thrive and survive off of the energy of other people. and not having anybody else was very, very hard on me.
Yeah.
Very hard. And I cheated. I didn't do like nothing crazy that would put anybody at danger, but I had my standing dinner with my cousin and his girlfriend every week, and like I needed it.
Yeah.
It was like it
survival.
It was survival.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do this. I can't just be in my house. And I was in my house doing nothing for the first 2 months. I was working, thankfully. We were on Zoom writing the show, working on the Keenan show. And so I'm grateful for that.
You were writing for that?
Yeah, I was writing for the Keenan show during that time. And because we started before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And we did like a good month. And people were getting sick. And we're being out. They were like, hey, I like people were out the whole week. Like 3 people in our room got sick and were gone for like the whole week. Which usually, you're sick for a couple of days and you might come back, you might still have a little bit of
sniffle. Yeah.
You go, hey, everybody stay away from me. I'm still a little bit sniffly. They were like, dude, I cannot come. I got a flu and it's bad. And so we started taking elderberry at the office, and David Cass hired a nurse to come in and give us B12 shots.
Right.
And then I remember that Friday, it was my friend Hannah's birthday.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I got the day off, because they were like, oh, we're going out and doing birthday stuff. And I was like, hell yeah, I got the day off. But they were like, yo, this is about to shut down. I think the night before, Rudy Gobert had touched all the mics, but then he had tested positive for it.
Oh,
and I was like, is this thing real? Because, you kind of thought like, not to be, I hope this isn't xenophobic or anything. But, when it first started coming out, he was like, oh, man, that's sad. But it's over there.
Yeah.
Yep. That's over there. Well, ain't nothing happening to us.
Right.
And then it's like, yeah, the dude just had Ebola in Dallas. It didn't spread.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then it hit Seattle, the Pacific Northwest or whatever. And it was like, oh.
Isolated incident.
Yeah. It's like, a couple people don't get it up there, of course. It's raining all the time. So, of course, you're going to get it up there. You're going to get sick. And then start hitting New York. It's like, well, yeah, everybody in New York is all on top of each other. They ain't got no space in New York. Everybody rubbing shoulders all the time. And then the NBA shut down. It's like, oh, this is real? Like, this is a thing that's going to really affect us?
Well, this affects big dudes?
Yeah, exactly.
In the middle of the country?
Yeah. I was like, what? Like, big rich guy. Then Tom Hanks got it. It's like, oh.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Like, what the hell?
Did you notice because during the, like, COVID whole period, like, not just quarantine, but, like, the 2 years, basically, all the theaters shut down.
Yeah.
Did you notice that when you came back to improvising that your improv was rusty or different, or were you right back into it?
I think I was right back into it. I had so much fun. I remember the first show back was Convoy at this theater on Western. And get this. I tested positive for COVID the next day. Not from that. From a thing that I had done that weekend. Because remember, the world was kind of back open at that point. And I had went to go see a friend DJ. I also started DJing over the pandemic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but
what's your DJ handle?
Damn it, Carl. My Instagram name. I wasn't very creative with it because, again, worried about what people would say. Think it was a joke. If I had came up with something cool, they'd been like, "What the fuck? Yeah, get over
That's
yourself."
a bit.
Yeah. I didn't want it to be serious, so I was just like, I'll just keep it the Instagram handle. But I got some cool drops that say it. But that first show back, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. It was so good to see everybody.
Yes.
It was so good to be around the community. It was so good to hear those laughs, feel those laughs again. It was the absolute best.
Yes.
And I didn't feel too rusty. I didn't feel rusty because we were also it was a white women show, it was the big team show, and so we kind of communicate on a different level anyway.
Yeah.
So it was pretty. It was awesome to be back. I didn't feel too rusty.
I want to get to white women and that team history and current stat, but I want to back it up to Second City. You love Second City. You made it all the way through. You got your T-shirt.
Yeah.
You don't know where it is.
I don't know where that T-shirt is. It might be donated, honestly.
And we'll find that T-shirt. If
Yeah.
anyone out there, if any listener finds a T-shirt that looks like it could fit Carl and says the Second City, please
It's definitely
mail
too
it.
small now. That one is definitely too small now. But
So you're fish and water. You're loving, and immediately you are like, I can do this for my whole career.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to do this. And what helped me stay in it even more was, so once I got towards the end of my Second City career, if you will, when I was about to graduate, I booked the CBS Diversity Showcase. So I'm only doing this art form for like 2 years at this point, not even a full 2 years, a year and 8 months, somewhere in there. And I do this CBS Diversity Showcase, and that was like my first like big Hollywood kind of thing, where it's like all the thousands of people auditioned, and I made it to the final 20 people. And during that showcase, my year was stacked. This is where I met Nicole Byer, John Milheiser, Allison Rich, Jen Bartels, what's my man's name? Jeff Hiller.
Wow.
Leland Bowden was in that group, and a bunch of other people who don't do improv stuff, a bunch of writers too that came from UCB, and they were all like, you got to do UCB, you got to do UCB, you got to do UCB. And I joined the class. I took 101. I got a diversity scholarship from Joe Wangert, who was the AD at the time. And I took 101, and I had Joe Hartzler as my 101 teacher. And then after that, we did the CBS Showcase, and auditions just started rolling. I wasn't really booking nothing, but auditions, I started being like, oh, I'm auditioning like regular, like it's like 3 times a week.
That's great.
Book a job, take 201 after that, and that's right after the 201. That's when the Boom auditions happened. That's when I went to Boom, stayed over there for a year, but then came back and met like people who are like great friends of mine now.
Yeah.
Like Ryan Rosenberg, like Peter, like Patrick, and I got on Maud and got on Harold, and just kind of leaned into the community.
Did you have a preference between Maud Night and Harold Night? Or, do you have a preference of improv or sketch?
Improv is, you don't have to do homework.
Right.
I am lazy. I don't want to do nothing that I don't have to do. Maud, you have homework. You got to learn lines. It was always fun.
Yeah. But
that was also when they opened up the new theater. So it was like, I met Rose before I left. I definitely met Rose before I left. But when they opened up the new theater, and Maud was over there, so you didn't have that like warmth that you have at Franklin.
Yeah.
With like the sketch, it was different, but I still loved it.
Talk to me about
4 years.
Like why warmth at Franklin.
It's a smaller theater. Remember, it used to be real hot up in there.
Yeah.
Remember the seats were old. Well, they got new seats now. Remember the old seats?
Yeah,
like,
creaky.
Creaky old seats. You sit on the wrong seat, a spring going right up your ass.
But it was homey.
Yeah, it was homey.
Like it had a comfort feel.
There was a smell to it, like with those old ass seats. I remember performing with Diamond Lion, and the show was so packed, and I was like, I can't believe I'm doing a show with this many people. Like the first time I experienced people sitting on the stage.
Isn't that the best when they're like sitting like kindergarten style?
Yeah.
Like around you have like a 5 by 5 foot area that you can step in without being on people. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a great time at the old theater before they put the new seat. The new seats definitely took away some of that feel.
Yeah.
They were much needed because the old seats were terrible.
I was like, someone's going to get sued if one of these seats breaks. Yeah.
Exactly. One of these rusty ass seats. But definitely there was a warmth there, and that at the new theater it was just kind of like a big, like almost hospital feel sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The that new space was such a blessing and a curse. Like such a blessing to have all these classrooms and stuff in one building. You're not driving all over town to like teach and coach and take classes. But then the theater space almost felt like a lecture hall to me.
Yeah.
Whereas like the first row started like 12 feet from the mouth of the
Far
stage.
away. Yeah.
And then the ceiling was super high. So like sound kind of goes right up and it feels just a little bit distant. And I had shows in there where it was like, I think just at the top of the show, we couldn't tell that we were getting laughs. But then later my friends were like, no, people were laughing. It's like we couldn't hear it. So then we start feeling awful about ourselves. We get small and unconfident. The comedy dies. Yeah.
And the stage was so big. Like to run from one side of the stage to the other was so big.
Yeah, if you have an idea for a tag, you needed to already be running up there to tag it, or you're not getting it. Yeah,
exactly.
So, do you ever have like if an audience isn't laughing, do you have like self-conscious moments?
Hell yeah,
you do.
Oh,
I've
my
never
God.
seen that on you.
I'm like, damn, what? I thought that was pretty good. Y'all didn't like that? Like, yeah, I think I just went through that recently where an audience just wasn't giving me nothing. You do the shared experience?
Yeah.
I love James and everything that he's building with his improv community, with the shared experience. But that lyric Hyperion, I can't buy a laugh in there. I can't go to the bar and be like, can I get a glass of laugh? Like
they'll be like $16.50
Yeah,
and $6 for popcorn.
I can't. Like it was very hard to get laughs, and I go, damn, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? Am I messing up what we got going on here? Yeah, I feel that way all the time when it happens. When you just can't get no love.
When that happens, like how do you keep your? Because I've never seen your improv falter. I've never seen you be a self-conscious or a scared improviser on stage. Are you just faking it? Are you pep talking yourself internally while the rest of us are dying?
I think in that moment. For me, it's like, all right, I got to stay up here. I can't leave. It'll be over soon, and then I'm gonna figure out what it is. So I try to like start pulling out. This weekend I did a show in front of an audience of people who did not know they were coming to an improv show, and who majority of them had never seen long form improv.
Yeah.
And
it's like one of those good old boom corporates.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
and they,
back in that saddle.
Yeah, and it was like, but it was still fun. They were still there to have a good time. It was a majority black audience, so they, communicating a lot, and which was fun. But I noticed, I was like, okay, so they're not really reacting too much to the heady stuff. And then so I played this sushi chef, and I was very object worky, and they went nuts. And I go, okay. So they react
like physical.
Well to that. Physical. Yeah. They'll react well to that. And then if you can add in the wordy, heady stuff along with the physical, then it'll be okay. And it was a really fun show to do. But I think I started adjusting. Okay, they didn't like that joke. All right, I said something dirty. They didn't like that.
All right, I'll get super political.
Yeah. I said something that might be offensive. They didn't like that. Okay, let me tone that back. Oh, let me do this. Let me run across the stage. Let me walk out. Let me do something. And if they enjoy that, I go, okay, cool, we're back.
Yeah.
And then if nothing catches, which has happened, you just go, all right, well, that was one. I hope no podcast fan that has been wanting to see me for 10 years saw that show and was like, that was not impressive. I like that guy on Comedy Bang Bang, but that
yeesh.
Yeah.
I guess I have to unfollow Comedy Bang Bang.
Exactly. Yeah. I saw this guy live and he sucked.
Do you think your sports background plays into that? That like you're someone who's like, yeah, I lost 26 times as part of my college team. Like, this can't touch me. Like
adjustment.
Adjustment.
Like, adjustment, I think, is the main, like, adjust in the moment. Oh, like, okay, my main move is to drive right, spin, and go left up with my strong hand. The other team knows that I'm going to do that, so they're stopping that. So now I have to fake spin, dump it off. Maybe tonight I'm not going to score 15 points. I'm only going to score 9, but I'm going to have 8 assists because somebody else is going to be open or whatever, So I think it's just like quick adjustment. Like, if it's not working, we're going to learn to make it work.
Right.
And we usually don't, like, I mean, at this level, we usually don't bomb.
Right.
Like, so it's like, because the improv audiences are super warm.
Yeah.
Even when it's like, there have been a couple of ass casts that I've done recently where the crowd, they give you that, like, that quick hit laugh. Like, they're not, like, leaning into the laugh. Like, the energy's just a little down. And so you'll do something funny and just go, oh, and it's like, damn, come on, man. Like, what I got to do to get y'all, like, knee slapping?
I want the whole bag of heroin.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so it's like, well, they technically laughed, but it didn't feel good.
Yeah.
And then you don't know when to edit the scenes because you're like, should we try to get a bigger laugh?
Yeah, because you're also trying to build energy and momentum. You're trying to get heat in the room. Like, those shows can feel like work even though people are enjoying it.
Yeah.
I've also been in audiences where, like, everyone around me is totally smiling, but silently.
Yes.
And then afterwards, I'm, like, telling my friends, like, no, it was great. Like, people really were loving it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a funny thing about audience dynamics, and it's contagious in the audience too. I mean, it's why they used laugh tracks for years on sitcoms.
Yeah.
It's like it hooks people.
Makes you want to laugh. Yeah.
Right. So White Women is still going, but you guys changed your name. Yeah.
Yeah. The big team.
The big team.
Yeah.
And still the same formation.
Still the same formation. Basically. Just a minor change, but still the same formation for the most part. We changed the name, not for any reason in particular. There's been a lot of speculation on why we changed the name.
It was misleading because people thought they were seeing a team of white women.
Yeah, and then
once their money back.
Once that joke failed, it was like once they knew who we were, we were like, well, let's just steal Big Grande's shtick. No, we literally swear we did not think about Big Grande in that moment. We did. Then after we changed, we were like, oh wait, there's other big team with it's. We changed it just because it was like, oh, let's do something. We're coming out of the pandemic. We haven't performed in 2 years together. We have had some minor changes to the group. Like, let's just kind of reinvent ourselves, and we're bigger than like a gimmicky improv name now. Like. We're closer, and what I mean by bigger is like we're closer friends, we're smarter, we're more mature, we are a different type of collective, and we all come from hip hop culture, and like, so it was kind of like, how do we like make our Wu-Tang? Like we are, like this is we don't need a gimmicky name. We don't need a name that's like.
We just need a cool ninja logo.
Yeah. We need that, and. We used to come out to a song called Big Rings by Drake and Future, and we still do come out to that. But the first line of that song, Drake goes, I got a really big team, and we need some really big rings. We need some really nice things, better be coming with no strings. And we're just like, let's just call it the big team. Like, we the big team. And it was like, that's dope.
Someone else was like, what if we're the big grand team?
Yeah.
Starring Carl Tart as Ryan Rosenberg. Yeah.
I play Ryan Rosenberg on television.
Let's talk about TV. You're so fucking funny on Grand Crew.
Thank you so much.
That show must have been an absolute blast to make.
For that to be my first series regular, I'm spoiled completely.
Yeah.
Spoiled.
Like your buddies,
my friends. First of all, my best friend created the show.
Yeah.
I'm performing. I'm getting to act in the show with two other people who are very close friends of mine who I've known for over a decade.
Echo and Nicole.
The writer's room is my best friends, Iffy and Lamar.
Yeah.
And Tim Chang is in the writer's room. And like David Phillips, another person who I wrote with. Like Aaron Covington is in the writer's room. All these people who are like, it was the perfect situation. You've heard. We've all heard horror stories about people getting their jobs, and they come back into their UCB green room, and everybody's like, bro, you got a job. And they're like, yeah, it kind of sucks. And everybody in green room's like, man, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like,
you're not allowed to hate our dream.
You up in here drinking free PBRs, and you like talking about this, but sometimes that situation is bad.
Yes.
My situation was not bad at all. Even when it got hard, even when the notes were stupid, even when a thing that you did got cut, and you're like, bro, that would have changed this episode. That would have made it this, and it gets cut out. Even when the days are long and the days are hard, it's never hard because we made such good friends.
Yeah, and Phil must have been an incredible showrunner.
Phil's great. I was so proud of him that he got to do that.
Yeah.
That he got to have that experience. He was awesome. I think he did something really cool.
The show
it would have lasted longer.
Yeah.
I think we got the raw end of the stick a little bit. When
no
it came
kidding.
To promotion, especially second season, where they moved us to Friday nights and didn't like all the billboards and bus ads that we had the first season. None of that happened second season, or at least not in LA. Like I would get pictures from people in New York being like, "Oh look, I'm on the subway. I see your face." Like, yeah, that's cool, but people didn't know the show existed, and it picked up a lot of steam. It picked up a lot of steam for the second season. A lot of people were very excited about it and very happy to watch every week. I get recognized by people being like, we got a wine club, and we would sit and watch our show, and we do this. And it's always so nice when people come up to me and talk to me about it. It's really cool. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's still picking up steam. It's one of those that's like, well, now that streaming exists, and word gets out and people spread it around and people watch. I have friends who just discovered it who are like, this is my favorite show. I'm like, yeah, it's the best.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, now you're already canceled.
Already canceled. You got 20 episodes that you can watch over and over and over again, and I still get paid. I still get a little check.
Well, that's good.
yeah. I still get a nice little check from that. So I'm not super complaining, but it ain't the checks that I was getting. I'll tell you that much.
Right. You can buy a free PBR, so you're still getting a free PBR that way.
Still get the free PBR in the green room. But it was such a blessing to get to do that as my first series regular. First of all, I'm blessed to even get to a series regular.
Right.
But the fact that I got to do it with that group of people, and we all get to say that we did this thing, is the best.
What did you learn from that process? Like I know we had Phil on the show and he talked about how obviously you guys like improvised on set and stuff. So there's a fusion there of like your past comedy experience with improv and then your present like trajectory with film and TV. Was it hard to integrate those two things? Did it not even occur to you because you're just in there in the moment?
I will say it probably didn't occur to me too much. We will be able to tag scenes and stuff, and I think one thing that improv has taught me overall is instincts. Mm-hmm. And so when I read something, I know how I'm gonna say it that will garner a reaction from people that will hopefully and most likely be laughter.
Because you've spent, like, at this point, years and years and years in this living lab.
Yes.
Where the science experiment is live. You have an audience right there. You can try saying something one way. Yeah. It doesn't work. You try it another way. It works. Yeah.
And I'll see other actors in, like, table reads and stuff, how they, like, I'll be like, that was a joke, bro. Hey, my man, that was a joke. You just roll right over that thing. And you look at the writer and they're just like, because they're just like dejected, and like I know how to make things, and it's also about picking your moments too. So I had to be smaller on TV, even though my character was the larger, kind of, I get to be a little bit more goofy. There are still moments where I can't make everything a joke, but when you get to make that joke, even if it's just like you go what, like whatever it is, like finding that balance of like. Not overplaying it, not like going nuts, like it's like a 1970s Good Times episode or something like that. But like picking that moment where this reaction people are going to relate to because this is insane what we're happening, or I'm happy about it, or I'm sad about it, I'm angry about it. And I think improv has taught me that. Instinctually, I think there's no better schooling than improv, like for actors. Acting class don't teach you how to have instinct. I think improv teaches you how to be the realest you could possibly be in the moment. One, because you don't know what's about to be said. So that's definitely what I learned is how to put that into use, how to put that into motion, the improv part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see a future where you are creating stuff with your friends, where you are the Phil of the room, or you don't like homework? We already covered the face.
I'm supposed to be. Like my reps would love me to be writing more, but I'm like, I don't know about to do that because I've been on some of those note calls when I got notes on like my episodes of TV that I've written, and it's just the network is just giving you nothing.
Right.
I don't want to say how I really feel because I still want to work in this town. But these people who don't have any of the experience you have when it comes to writing, when it comes to comedy, when it comes to any of that stuff creatively, they're telling you, "Oh, could we change this? Like, I just don't think this will work." And it's like, well, we wrote it in a table read. It killed in the room. First of all, it killed in the writer's room. It then killed at the table read. Now you want to change it? Yeah, I just don't know if these people are going to get in. I don't feel like dealing with that, like, right now at least.
Yeah. Well,
at least, eventually, hopefully I sell a show. But hopefully it's to a network that Phil owns.
Right.
At least I'm getting the notes from him and can cuss him out.
Well, and part of like a hallmark of your style, from my perception, is the freedom, the play, the like. Phil and I talked about you actually when he was on the show, like that you make choices and you make big choices. You make them like freely, like you're. Your ability to hit the gas is so unmatched.
Thank you.
And I would think that, having to thread that through a million needles of network notes and the minefield of you can't do this would put a real damper on that.
Oh, yeah.
Puts
That'll make
too
me
many
go,
breaks
I don't
on.
want to do this.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to do it. I quit.
Right.
Thanks so much.
And trying to solve for the right choice instead
Yeah.
of just what the fun choice is.
Because they'll never give you a choice.
Right.
They'll never say, here's how I think you should approach it.
Right.
They just go, oh, that's not going to work. You figure it out. You're the writer. We
Yeah.
love you. We love you so much. You're so smart.
Just don't do it that way.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you'll find it.
You'll find it.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Um,
We're on the golf course.
talk to me about like when you're on stage making those choices. Are you hungry to play big characters? Are you hungry to are you just chasing whatever shiny fun thing you see right in that? Yeah.
I think it's chasing the fun thing. And truly, I will say Family Guy has shaped my comedic voice so much. Just as how fast it moves, how witty it is, with the cutaway stuff, with the, like, truly, I wish I was improvising like how fast that show moves, joke wise. Like I think that's what I kind of do subconsciously, and also Martin Lawrence, like how he was on his show, how he would make choices, and how he would, when he was being indignant, when he was upset, when he was angry, like.
Big emotional swings.
Yeah, big emotional swings. It was always so funny. And like always so funny. And so I think those are the two things that have influenced the way I play, because those are just the most fun to me.
I see that. Like you breaking that down just now, I was like, oh yeah, I do see that those two things, if they had a baby, it would be your improv.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah. I want to be like Martin Lawrence and Family Guy.
Yeah.
And
there it is.
That's the choices that I make. Like even when I am a voice of reason, it's still like I have an emotional take.
Yes.
While I'm doing this, yeah.
Yeah, and big reactions and sensitive reactions. Are there people from your life who show up as characters in your improv?
My dad.
What's his character type?
Just like very funny, charming, Southern, like to the bone man, who always is like, he is. I think as I get older and I spend more time with him, because I didn't grow up with him in the house, but I go, how in the hell are we so similar? Like that, like there are things like mannerisms, the walking, the way you respond and talk to stuff, and he's very much a person who I like am modeled after in a way, and it's not conscious, it's subconscious. It's like I don't do it on purpose, but when I'm kicking it with him, everybody around is like, this is weird.
Right. Genetics are creepy.
Yeah, because they don't see me very often,
Right.
Like the people down there see me once a year. So they'll stop by. And my dad kind of like holds court. He kind of just keeps his garage door open, and everybody, all the neighborhood guys, all the neighborhood drunks that don't really do much. My dad goes to work every day, and like, he's hardworking man, gets off of work and goes and mows the grass and mows lawns in the neighborhood and cuts the church's grass. I bought him a 5-point turn John Deere for his birthday one year.
Hell yeah!
Back when the show was still on, but can't get that now, Pops.
Dad,
yeah,
if we
need to take that back, Pops.
Yeah.
But they'll just stop by. And oh, this your son? Man, hell no, y'all look exactly like y'all look, like, they go crazy over it, and I'm just like, just watching my dad hold court with these guys, because he'll give them beer and stuff. They like, he just like keeps his garage fridge full of stuff, and they just kind of are friends, even though he's doing way more in life than they are,
Well, he's like got the best seat in the house.
Yeah.
Like he just knows, like, throw the door open and have beer in the fridge, and you just got like this free show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
These
it reminds you like
characters.
King of the Hill or something, and it's great. And the way he kind of holds court with these guys and how they just like being around him, I go, oh wow, this is so interesting to me. Like,
do you play I'm assuming he has a Southern accent or everything.
Yeah.
Do you play that guy like in scenes?
yeah, sometimes, yeah. Not always, but I don't know what the most recurrent. I think also just kind of like guy who has emotional reaction and stuff, and kind of calls out stuff, and
Yeah.
like,
So good improviser guy is a character you play? Yeah.
I need you to tell me what it is, because a lot of times I don't know. Like when people go, "What's your voice?" I go, "I don't know."
Yeah.
I just be up there.
No, that is your voice. Like like immediately calling stuff out. Like that's weird. Why? Yeah. And emotional reactions. Yeah, and big. Yeah, you do make big character choices a lot. That's why I was wondering if you had a family full of like colorful characters, and you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely my Aunt Greta or whatever.
I do, but I don't know if I'm pulling from them always. It's usually just like who I think would be funny in that moment.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Are there particular like archetypes that you find really fun to play?
I don't know. I heard recently that somebody says I play characters who don't know that they're not the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know if I should take that offensively or. Like,
you also, it's funny. And you play really confident, like. Like sometimes wrongly or like wrongly opinionated.
Oh,
like like we did a space shuttle scene in Portland, and you like have all these like opinions about like, and it's like the space mission is not the time to like have these opinions about stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But I love that. It's so fun. It's so confident. Are there favorite types of scenes that you like to do?
When me and Peter start dancing or singing or anything like that, that's the most fun.
Game over, huh?
Yeah. That's the most fun. And just saying silly stuff where we kind of throw the rules out of the window, where it's just about, like Peter will do this thing where he snaps and does this or something. If we like start doing that, like it's over. Like that's what I want to do all day. And just see the joy in the room and have a good time on stage and not think about nothing else but in that moment.
But goofing with your pal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
At our big ages, doing that. Like, how fun is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've come full circle from I'm not getting on the floor to make that A to you know what? I want to make the A and be a goof.
I want to be a big goof 35-year-old making the A.
Yeah.
Like,
make that A, which really turns into a W.
Okay.
You know, we got to go for time. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Listen to The Flagrant Ones on patreon.com/The Flagrant Ones. It's a basketball podcast I host with Hayes Davenport and Sean Clements, the boys, you know, from Hollywood Handbook. And subscribe to that Patreon and listen to Foosballs, which is the football podcast I host with Ryan Meharry and Greg Gallant, which is on the free HeadGum feed. And that's it. Come to shows. Come watch shows.
Come watch shows. Carl Tart. Thanks for being here, Carl.
Thank you for having me.
All right. If you have a question about improv that you would like me to ask a future guest, email it to yesalsopod@gmail.com and I will get it on the show. If you're a fan of the show, follow us on Instagram @yesalsopod. And please help us out by liking, rating, reviewing, clicking, sending, talking, and blasting us to your improv communities. That will help us out a lot. If you're a theater who would like to host us for a live recording and improv show, let us know at yesalsopod@gmail.com. A huge shout out to Ryan Rosenberg, who produced this thing with his generous help and his unlimited knowledge about all things podcast. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week. No, we won't, Susie. That's not how podcasts work. They won't even see us. They will listen to us. So it's actually the opposite of both things you said. Thanks for listening, and you will listen to us next week. Maybe. We don't know.